ever since he talked to Torts directly, there's been sort of a resurgence in his game and more respect developed between him and Tortorella. I think it was 11 times he was healthy scratched. It has been so volatile, the hot and cold, and how he's been used there, that Colorado would be such a good home to him. They'd be so good to him. But I just don't know that
they can fix him.
I just don't know that it's super realistic because of the lack of center depth, to be honest with you, now.
Who does John Tortorella dislike more? The media or Morgan Frost?
Definitely the media.
It's not close, let's be honest. But we have seen Morgan Frost in Philadelphia this year be a scratch semi-regularly at times this season. Young center, RFA at the end of this contract, which does have one more year on it. Am I telling you that Morgan Frost solves the Avs 2C problem today? I don't know. Am I telling you it might be worth the risk? Maybe. Can Morgan Frost be the solution for the Avs 2C?
He's a fun player. When he's playing well. He's a really fun player. I think the problem is that when he's not on, how useful is he? You know,
sure.
How much of an impact is he finding? Is he having on a game when it's not the A game, when the skating and the playmaking aren't really popping?
Yep.
How good of a player is he? And that makes me a little bit nervous. The commitment day in, day out makes me a little bit nervous. The production makes me a little bit nervous, but the age, the way that he looks when things are going well, I'm not nervous about any of that. I think that's all really encouraging. The fact that he's signed for $2.1 million next season as well means that if you get it right in a Morgan Frost deal, you're free to allocate that money elsewhere, or more likely
spend for another all-in push. Yeah.
More likely, you're free to not have to trade somebody away for financial reasons.
Sure,
and that I think would be a huge boon to the Avs. So the upside is there. The reason why I'm skeptical about this being in season, what do the Flyers want?
Yeah,
this one doesn't feel like it's obvious as Casey Middlestat, where Byram and Middlestat are obvious players going back for each other that fit. Byram makes the most sense for the Avs money and position-wise, and for where the Flyers are in their rebuild. But the Flyers have also accumulated a decent number of young defenders that they kind of need to sort their way through as well.
That they have.
So is this a Byram thing, or is this like a first-round pick and a Cal Ritchie and a Sean Barons kind of thing?
I think Cal Ritchie would have to be in the conversation because, honestly, like, Drysdale affects this to some degree because that's the young D they're trying to sort out that's very comparable to Byram. And then losing Gauthier in that hurt their center depth. And with Sean Couturier, at 31, he's not exactly a long-term fit for a team heading towards a rebuild. I don't know that they're super comfortable moving on from Frost. I think if you'd asked me last summer when he was in talks of being traded to Ottawa, that was a possibility. But with what has played out through this season, I think he's not as expendable in their eyes as he once was. I think ever since he talked to Torts directly, there's been sort of a resurgence in his game and more respect developed between him and Tortorella. I think it was 11 times he was healthy scratched. It has been so volatile, the hot and cold, and how he's been used there, that Colorado would be such a good home to him. They'd be so good to him. But I just don't know that
they can fix him. I
just don't know that it's super realistic because of the lack of center depth, to be honest with you, now.
Yeah. We're not in their dressing room and they're talking. I don't believe Philly's moving on from him. I do believe, having played for Torts. Getting tired, sorry. He is hard on you. He is old school. He's hard on young guys. You're gonna have to earn everything you get. Morgan Frost came in when Torts was not the coach, right? And then Torts came on board. Probably sees something in him and then wants to mold him his way. With the front office being aware of all this too. You know, I mean, I think they have a good connection. You know, Torts and Danny and Jonesy. So I don't think Morgan's. If you look at it, oh yeah, he's been a healthy scratch. You know, there's a love affair. I think Torts just makes you work for it, and especially in the year where they weren't supposed to be good, and you know where they're not supposed to be in the playoffs. And go back to Konechny a little bit. Everyone was saying 2 years ago, you know, oh my God, Konechny is gone. Torts can't stand him, and I think it's a love and hate relationship Torts with like Konechny and stuff like that. But I think there's a lot of love there. When I say hate, it's more like wants him to. It's the same thing with Frost. You know, just wants to mold them to his liking. But yeah, I mean, it's a conversation that. What do you want if you're the Flyers, right? You know, it's.
Yeah.
I don't know. He is a first round pick. He is this. It's you've developed him for a few years now, and you know he's gonna pop one day, right? It sounds like it. You know, like according to his play in juniors, his play so far. He's still a young man. I mean, in the NHL, so
it's similar to what we talked about with Middlestat. If this was something that could be actually getting done, it's a whole lot more likely to happen in the offseason than it would be in the middle of this season.
I agree.
So it's pretty hard to see how it would affect this deadline.
Just getting a head start on some of our off-season work here with a couple of these.
But, you know, people have been talking about it, so it's one of the names we figured we should talk about.
Yeah.
It's worth talking about.
Absolutely.
Insane speed and skill. So much fun to watch as a player. It would stylistically fit in Colorado so well.
You can see how it would work.
And the relationship that it's been, you know, with the healthy scratch. It makes you
wonder.
rumor about it, right? I mean, it's normal. It's human nature.
You expect, you know, the Flyers are kind of sinking back to the pack a little bit more once they get to, you know, give it 2 more weeks. If Colorado rolls up and they're like, "Hey, we've got a great offer for you. This is going to check some boxes."
Say no to, yeah.
Like, is Morgan Frost really a part of that future? Maybe. He's the right age to be right in the middle of that. It makes more sense than them re-signing a Travis Konechny, for example. But if the Avs are like, "Hey, we'll give you 2 first-round picks and Cal Ritchie," if you're Danny Briere, aren't you like, "Ooh, we're gonna think about this for a minute"?
What I guess my other question is, what do the Flyers see their timeline as well? I know they have a bunch of D, but if they're a team that says, "Hey, you know, if we really start pushing 3 years from now, Gulyev."
Well, and even Bowen Byram, like, are you really not gonna trade for Bowen Byram because you have Cam York and Emile Andre in your system as you're trying to figure out? You know, like, to me, their timeline is Michkov gets here, so they've got two years to try and build up the organization around him.
Yep.
Michkov gets here, and he's going to be a monster. You want to have good center depth for when he gets here so that you're not going and looking for it. But you do have a couple of years between now and then to kind of figure it out.
Yep.
Byram's a really nice middle ground in that. Like, if they are going to move on from Sealer, Walker, Byram can fit in the lineup right now and help them get through the end of the year, but also has future upside as kind of a prospect in a way as well.
All right, just do the Giga package. Sealer, Frost, Byram, Ritchie, couple of firsts.
I mean, if we're doing that,
Johansson.
Let's get Walker in that thing too. Let's go, man. Let's go.
I'll take Walker.
Yeah. No, I don't know how I feel about all of it, but
They want to give us Samuel Ersson as a backup? I mean, what are we doing here?
The Colorado Flyers.
I don't know, I think Philadelphia Avalanche sounds way cooler than Colorado Flyers.
You're right.
They win that one.
All right. So Frost, I don't know how realistic that one is, but a good comparable to our Middlestat video, which you hopefully just watched. Maybe Middlestat makes a bit more sense if Colorado was trying to do it in the immediate. We do still have one more goalie on this list to talk about, so I'm sure goalie people will like that. Go watch the rest of the playlist if you haven't. A ton of great trade targets for the Avs. One more to go.